Good day, and here we are with yet another playthrough. Why? Because it's going to be a while before Doom 2016 comes out, and also this actually is serving as a test. Essentially, the last playthrough the audio got out of sync, which I don't like, and so now I'm doing a sort of a test here to see if it's going to happen in every video now, and I'm going to have to replace that bloody hard drive, which I really hope I don't have to do, but, you know, that's the way it goes. And so it goes. Today, we are of course taking a look at Doom, the way id did, as the title would suggest of the video. I don't particularly like this WOD all that much, don't really like the levels, but I decided not to go and do Doom 2002 Odyssey. Simply because we already did it. We might actually do the rest of it though at some point, just because I like it so much. But this one isn't really that bad, it's just... for some reason I don't like it past the first episode. I guess for some reason I just really like Knee Deep in the Dead. And honestly, back in the day, you know, I didn't really make that much distinction between the various Doom episodes, but for whatever reason these days, it's like it just makes me happy to play these particular ones. Because already it looks pretty good. And I do not have the Doom music WOD enabled right now, because I did not think to do so! Oh dear! Already off to a bad start? No, but then again, some people do like the original Doom music, and it's not bad. I just prefer heavy metal. For heavy metal, we would die. That's actually a pretty good song, and a lot newer of a song than you'd think. The Heavy Metal We Will Die song, or I don't remember what the actual name is, but... whatever the actual name is, I like it a lot, actually. But it actually came out in 2007. I was like, oh yeah, it's like a classic 80s song. No, it just sounds that way. I forget who sings for Heavy Metal We Will Die. But whoever does a good job on it. I've tried to listen to some of these new bands. Like, what do we need all these new bands? Music was perfected back in 1975, man. But, yeah, it's interesting to listen to some of these new bands, because usually I just listen to classic rock and things of that nature. Although my music tastes have diversified over time, that is for certain. Back in the day, I just primarily listened to older music. These days, I've kind of like, I'm not into dubstep, I'm into the other one. What is that other one? Hardstyle, that's what it's called. I got into that somewhat recently. I guess that's one of the reasons why I like the new Doom soundtrack as much as I do. Because it is so different in some respects. It's not that different. It's not like it's a completely new musical genre compared to like the original Doom soundtrack. But I guess that's why I like it more than some others would. Because I already had started to get into that kind of music. Whereas some others might still be, you know, just fans of heavy metal. And that's fine. But I really think Mick Gordon did an amazing job on the 2016 soundtrack. I mean, it sounds damn good! And I love that menu music theme so much. Just the wow thing there. I just love it. It's fucking awesome. In fact, I sometimes just listen to it while I'm playing this game. It works good. And then Rip and Tear, the soundtrack, or the track name, it is really good too. I mean, that is just classic metal, man. Metal Man, do-do-do-do. That, I just did the Castlevania theme. Oops. Whatever, I forget what Metal Man's theme is like. And I like the Mega Man 2 soundtrack. Although, I'll be perfectly honest, I've never actually slogged my way through the entire Mega Man series of games. In fact, you know what's funny? I've watched a lot of those James and Mike Mondays. They actually play those games without save states. I would never get anywhere with those games. I mean, I get that save states take away some of the challenge, but I think it takes away some of the bullshit challenge. Okay, because like, look, Doom, for example. Boom, I can fucking save. And that's a lot more fun than having to go back to the very beginning of the level every fucking time. You know, that's why a lot of people back then, and why I didn't back then, finish a lot of games. You know, back when I was a kid, I did not finish as many games as I could have. And that's because who wants to play the game again after you've just got like got almost through it and then died and had to go back to the beginning? It's very frustrating, and there's a lot of games I just never finished because of that. Now, here's something kind of funny. I got AVP, the SNES game. And that was the first new NES game not NES, SNES game I got when I wasn't back into retro gaming when I got it, but I had wanted to get it for whatever reason. And that was when it was because I wanted to get. It was because I got that game that I was looking for my NES or not NES, my SNES. Couldn't find it, and that's when I realized it was missing. But when I finally played that game, I got like I'd forgotten how retro games even had worked back then. But when I finally got that particular game working, when I finally got a SNES to play that particular game. I got pretty far in it. I don't think I made it to the ancient ship, I think is what you end up going to. I got to that point, died, and had to go all the way back. I was like, fuck, well I didn't say fuck this, but today I would have said, fuck this game, I'm never playing it ever again. Because that pisses you off. You shouldn't have to go all the way back to the beginning just to play, you know, the rest of the game. At least I don't think so. So that's one of the reasons why I never really finished a lot of games. Donkey Kong, as much as I love Donkey Kong Country, I don't think I ever finished that game either. Because that game gets really hard later on. So that's why most of the games I finished are PC games, because all you gotta do is save and reload. Now really, a lot of the major retro games that are pretty famous I've played through around 2008, 2009. And just save states. Like Contra, for example. I beat that game by just save stating all the bloody time. I don't know how you'd play Contra without save stating, unless you are like somebody who can just play, you know, fucking Dark Souls blindfolded with 2 earplugs stuck in your ears. I don't know how you do that, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody did. Because, man, that game's hard. And like Metal Slug, one of my favorite games of all time, I never really got that far when I had limited credits for that game. Because I had Metal Slug for the once legendary PSP, because that's what I had to have. Because like Nintendo is like, that's a baby's console, although I never said that back then. But like I had it on the PSP, Metal Slug the Anthology. I have it on the PS2 now, so it doesn't really matter. But when it had limited continues, I never really got very far because that game is really, really tough. And I don't know how you. And I never got far in the original arcades either, you know, because I'd have like $1. No, I had like maybe $5 I could spend whenever I went to the arcade, if that. And so I would just barely get anywhere in those games. But it's supposed to be that way because they want to suck out as many quarters as they possibly can. Because, well, if they didn't, they wouldn't be making any money now, would they? But in any event, one of the new review ideas that I have, this thing is not lagging nearly as much as it was the other day. I don't know why it was yesterday when I recorded 2002 of Doom Odyssey. That's just weird. Although I did have some videos open that were on that particular drive, so I don't know. But ultimately, it's not working now, so we may thank the great Ysmir and the great Machine God. Although here's a true fact about something I was going to do when I was younger, but never did, thankfully, because it had been really stupid. Back when I was younger, like towards the end of my high school experience, I legitimately wanted to get a tattoo of the Machine God symbol. I'm that fucking nerdy, okay? Even when I'm being a stupid teenager, I want to do something fucking nerdy, like get the fucking Machine God symbol tattooed on my fucking arm. I never did it, thankfully. I never did that. But I wanted to do that because fucking Machine God's cool. It's got like a skull and like a machine skull on it, man. That's like cool. Although I totally would not have talked like that then. I would have rather have been skinned alive and tossed into a salt mine than ever talk like that back then. But yes, I wanted to get a tattoo of the Machine God. Because reasons. So yeah, always been Mr. Nerdy all my life. Because, yeah. But then again, is that really surprising? To longtime fans, is that really that surprising that I would do such a thing? Or that I would want to do such a thing, I should say. Then there was one time where I wanted to get a tattoo of the Jedi Code, the original one, from like the Dark Empire days. Dark Empire, of course, being a comic from the early 90s. Which, you know, I didn't really like Dark Empire that much. Well, no, let me rephrase that. I didn't like it as I got older. When I first read it, not back when it came out, but I first read it back when I was in middle school, actually. Because my middle school library had a copy of that particular comic. And they also had Dark Knight Returns, which is kind of funny, because you wouldn't think that'd be a comic for young growing minds, but, well, they had it, and I read both. And I really liked Dark Empire back in the day, but these days it's just like, it's not very good. There's a lot of logic issues, and I don't really like the art that much. It looks like it's the goddamn Matrix, because everything has this green tint to it. And, you know, there's Luke becomes like totally emo. And I like the fact that Boba Fett survived and Dengar shows up. Dengar showed up in Empire Strikes Back for like a second. And then he got like his own short story. Every character that ever showed up in the Star Wars movies has their own short story somewhere. Even the fucking stormtrooper that says, "Look, sir, droids," has his own short story. I think his name was like Davin Feth or something, but he showed up, he got his own story. Actually, I'm actually kind of enjoying this particular episode. I don't know why I didn't like... Oh, yeah, because I don't like the color palette of the other ones. We got our first lag. I wonder what that fucking is. I just don't feel like opening up the computer and trying to see what the problem is. I'm not in the mood. Because it's something that doesn't work somewhere for some reason. And no, before anyone says it in the comments, I'm not taking it to have be looked at by somebody. They charge more than a whole new computer would cost. Besides, it's admitting defeat, and GeneralLotz never admits defeat. But anyway, you know, it's like Dark Empire has one major issue, in that it kind of ruins Boba Fett. Boba Fett's supposed to be this mysterious, cool character that is good at everything and is never afraid of anything. You know, he's supposed to be great, but ultimately, he and Dengar kind of become, and if ever I do a review of that comic, if ever I do it, I'm going to basically have the Bulk and Skull music play, because they get reduced to Bulk and Skull levels of competency. Because, of course, you know, Han, he has to thwart them every time, but it's like, eventually they need to be a little bit better, you know? Now, eventually, for those of you who have sent me WADs and things of that nature, I will get to some more some of those WADs that you guys have sent me. But I have wanted to play some of these WADs for you guys that I have played on my own time, of which Doom the Way It Did I have. And for some reason, I remember not liking it. I think it is the color palette of the later episodes that I don't like. Because I seem to remember that Shores of Hell, and depending on how long this goes, we might see some of that. I just didn't like it. Whereas this, I'm enjoying it immensely. This looks really good. I'm not really... So I guess, like I said earlier, I like this episode, but not the rest. But you would think the quality would stay the same, but I guess not. Now, where's my fucking auto-shotty? I have not gotten an auto-shotty in the entire goddamn thing. Made me so mad I had to sneeze. Here's hoping, though, that this does not get out of sync. I'll upload it with it out of sync anyway, or I'll try to sync it up the best I can. But that's one of the things that back in the GeneralLotz 1.0 era, well, this was the early part of the 1.0 era, because it eventually got fixed once I teched up to Windows 7. But in the early days of GeneralLotz 1.0, what ended up happening with a lot of those Let's Plays was I could never really get the audio synced, because I was trying to record the audio with the Audacity. That's what it is. That's what I use to record audio for reviews anyway. It's a very good free program that I highly recommend taking a look at if ever you want to record audio on the cheap. Let's save. But I would record the video, and then I would record the audio separately. And as you can imagine, that never worked out well. Never got it synchronized. And then, really, like I always say, the first good... I don't know what that's about, but whatever. Well, the very first good Let's Play was actually the Let's Play I did of AVP1. Everything else before that was complete shit. And I tried to do some complex Let's Plays as well, like with... the very first Let's Play I ever tried to do was my favorite favorite RPG of all time, Knights of the Old Republic 2. I think I got a pretty big number of episodes done, but they were not synchronized at all. I hadn't really learned how to do a Let's Play yet, so it didn't sound very good. So ultimately, it was a failure all around, and that was with the headset mic too, so it really didn't sound very good, even from a technical standpoint. So it turned out to be a pretty terrible Let's Play, and thankfully it no longer exists anywhere on the internet, so no one may look at my dishonor. The very second Let's Play was Dragon Age Origins. That one didn't turn out very good either, mainly because of the same audio sync issues that I had. And so that actually can be seen, only not like you'd think. All the episodes have long since been taken down. They were on the hard drive that died, so no one can ever see them again. But what I did is I used that gameplay footage as the gameplay footage in the Dragon Age Origins review. So it at least got put to good use. But yeah, it just... doing Let's Plays when you can't get good audio sync is terrible. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't like DX Story, is you had to like manually do audio sync, and I hate that. That's why I like using Fraps, because it's already synchronized. That's why whenever I do commentaries or anything like that, all I do, open up VLC Media Player, have it run in that, and record that screen with Fraps. Already synced, don't have to do any work. Although if I do work anyway, it still doesn't turn out any good, because I just cannot do audio sync right. I have no idea why, but I've never gotten it right, no matter how much time and effort I put into it. But, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. Really, audio sync is very important, because you don't want to have something happen and then have a comment like 2 seconds later, because it just sounds terrible, and looks terrible, and is terrible. And if for whatever reason the audio sync is being lost, you know, because once again, this is a test, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I just won't be able to do any playthroughs for a little while, which isn't that big of a deal. You know, I can live with that, but it does annoy me a great deal. A great deal. Yeah, there's little bits of lag, and I'm not sure if that's the hard drive or if it's just the textures loading in. It could be, well, could that little lag spike there have been the textures loading in, or could it be, you know, something else? Yeah, there's the lag spike. That's not the textures loading in. Well, it's like the computer heard me. It's like, oh, you think it's the game? No, it's me fucking up. You want to spend hours and hours trying to figure out how to fix it? No, not particularly. Oh, how I miss the days when the computer just worked right. But alas, those days are long, long gone. But we are definitely pushing it right on through in this particular playthrough. But I think I mentioned earlier in this playthrough, I have an idea for a new video after Prey and Half-Life are done. I was doing a bit of research. I'd already known that it existed on the Dindy, which was the Russian NES. I actually found one on eBay for 40 bucks, which is really cheap, comparatively. I'm definitely thinking about picking that up and reviewing it. Possibly bringing back the Soviet Lotz character that did so well back when I did the Jurassic Park review. And actually this time just using my own voice and getting the fakest Russian accent imaginable. And doing that. I'm not going to do it now because I'd have to... Ooh! Auto-shotty! It's actually... It's funny because I recognize that the audio was out of sync in the previous video when I noticed that the auto-shotty sound it was out of sync with the actual gun. So will we know if it's out of sync? Let's just hope it's not out of sync. Let's just pray to the great machine god, the Void Dragon, that it is working. Because I hate that. I'm just... So many tech issues, you know? Well. We will push it on through nonetheless. But the Dindy looks to be like an interesting review to do. Just something different, you know? Because you can only do so many of the same types of games over and over again without getting a little stale. Although I have no doubt that it'll get a fraction of the views of this Doom stuff that I've been doing. But hey, you know what? So what? the less stale I get, the more Doom stuff will actually turn out to be good. That's actually an actual fact. That is an actual fact. Because who wants to just constantly do Doom stuff? Gonna have a little bit of a break. I'm also tempted to review, also as a tech review, the Atari Flashback 5. I have one of those. Got it for Christmas this past year. It's a nice little console. I actually quite like it. It's funny how Atari games really are. They stand the test of time amazingly. Just like with a lot of those classic consoles. Because with Atari games, you can just literally pick up and play. Because that actually happened. Because I was like, okay, I'm just gonna test it, and then everybody kind of got in on it and enjoyed playing Atari. Although Atari predates me by many, many, many years. It came out long before I was born. Well, the NES came out before I was born as well. The NES came out in '85, and I was born in '89, so I never played it. Although I was aware of it back then. I was aware of it, and I think I might have wanted it just because it was cheap back then. I was like, yeah, it's really cheap, but I actually had, and was fortunate enough to have, the Super Nintendo, which, you know, it's funny, I mentioned this in other videos, but I'll mention it here too. For whatever reason, I thought the Super Nintendo was inferior to the Sega Genesis, and all the Sega fanboys were like, yep, it totally is. Because I thought like the Sega Genesis was the more advanced one, but these days I of course know better than the Super Nintendo is superior to all. It won the console wars. To say otherwise is to be a fool. But it really did win the console wars pretty bad. You know, I mean, like, if you think of all the great games that the Super Nintendo had versus the Sega Genesis, now don't get me wrong, I have both now, but the Sega Genesis was good. Is good, but let's face facts. That Super Nintendo had better graphics, better sound. I wouldn't necessarily, you can't really say it has better games per se, because that's more of a subjective thing, but I think it won it pretty handedly though. And it's definitely a console I'm happy to have grown up with. Because like the Sega Genesis, I don't think really had a game to combat. Okay, where the hell am I going? I hate it when this happens. Goddamn modders, can't you just have like a single linear path? God. I mean, come on, who wants to play a video game? You know, they're like sexist and misogynist. But political stuff aside. But yes, yeah, it's like, did it have a real, did it have real competition to the game of Donkey Kong Country? I don't know. And, you know, it's interesting, they did get Doom to work on the Super Nintendo, and I know people like to knock it today, but really, if all you had back then was a Super Nintendo, Doom on the Super Nintendo isn't that bad. You know, it's very playable. I have played it on the original. I actually have it, as you'd expect, for the Super Nintendo. I got it for $10 at a Game Crazy, which was a shop that sadly no longer exists. Although they did have one in Utah, I do remember that, which I thought was really cool. They had all sorts of classic gaming things. But you know, Doom on the Super Nintendo works pretty well, I have to say. I mean, yeah, it's not as good as PC Doom, but you got to remember, it's on the Super Nintendo. It's on a game system from 1990 that was designed to not play, you know, modern first-person shooters. It's just insane that it works as well as it does. Now, of course, you know, if you could have had the choice to have a PC version of the game, you'd of course want that. But if you didn't have it, you didn't have it, so... I'm definitely glad I grew up with the PC version, though. Ugh. Although, I don't really like the Wolfenstein 3D on there, just because of all the... Normally I don't care about censorship, but it does look really bad that they did censor all of that. It's like, really, giant rats? Are you joking? So wait, people are less important than dogs? Come on. Although, a lot of people might say that, though. Idiots, more like. But, in any event... Now, the Sega Genesis does have a first-person shooter that is pretty good. Zero Tolerance is what it's called. I did not know of that back in the day, and if I had played it back in the day, I'd be like, this game sucks. Because it's not that amazing by today's standards, or even in the standards of the time, but it is amazing for the fact that they got it to work on a Sega Genesis, which is old. The Sega Genesis itself is older than the Super Nintendo. by a number of years. I believe the Sega Genesis came out in '88, whereas the Super Nintendo came out in '90. And as you can imagine, the tech changes between the tech differences between the two are pretty considerable. So the fact that they got a first-person shooter working on it at all is pretty amazing. And it worked fairly well. Zero Tolerance is one of the few Genesis games that I actually have. Let's save. Zero Tolerance works pretty well. It did the cheat that even the Super Nintendo had to do at times, is it has very limited screen area with all sorts of crap on there. But it works. It's a lot faster than Super Nintendo Doom. And there's a few little graphical things they have that are pretty cool that even PC Doom didn't do. And it's not a bad game. Not by any means, it's not a bad game, but you could definitely tell that they were pushing the Genesis to its limits with it. And it's always cool to see that, just to see what the console can handle. And what's interesting about the Super Nintendo is the Super Star Wars games on there really push the system to its limit. Because, like, there's a segment at the end which is balls to the wall hard, and that I never finished. Right? I don't think I did. I think in the review itself, I just like downloaded the footage off of YouTube. Because I tried my best to beat it, but I never could. But there's a segment where you have to fly through the Death Star, and then it's from Return of the Jedi. You have to fly through the Death Star, and you gotta blow it up. And it is fucking hard, but it is exactly like it was in the movie. That was really cool. But it pushed that to its limit, that's for sure. There really needs to be some more Star Wars games that are actually good. I know it's almost impossible to imagine that these days, but Star Wars games used to be some of the best games in general, and now, thanks to EA and all the rest, you've got fucking Battlefront. That just pissed me off. That really pissed me off, as Duke Nukem would say. Because Battlefront is still good. Battlefront 2, people still play that. I should know, I do play it. And it just couldn't get a better sequel. I mean, and you know what's worse? Like, there were videos leaked of, like, you could fly from the ground to space. That was the coolest thing ever. But of course, that version could never see the light of day. Because, why not? Why would we want a game that good when we could just have space DLC? Now, I don't know if space DLC exists, but I would not be surprised if such a thing did exist. Alright, so now we are regularly getting that lag. Used to be we'd get it once or twice, but now that is a regular occurrence. And I have no idea why it's doing it. I'm just guessing I might have to set that hard drive into some sort of special mode, but I just don't feel like looking it up. It's a good thing I'm not a professional Let's Player, although most professional Let's Players probably wouldn't care, but whatever. Whatever. But seriously, the Battlefront, and I can't imagine that any other Star Wars game is going to be any good either. Especially with EA behind it. Lightsaber DLC! Game completion DLC! Bullshit! Bullshit! All of it! But that's the state of modern gaming, is it not? DLCs and day one patches. It's like, used to be they'd release a game and it was done, you know? These days it is not. I mean, even my little 3-day game that I created, I at least tried to make sure there weren't bug problems. I didn't release a day one patch. Not that anyone played my game, but whatever. I need to eventually get back into working on that, along with learning how to do Doom WADs, because I actually rather enjoyed that. I just kind of lost interest, because creating little you know, RPG Maker games was a lot of fun. If I really studied it, I could probably create something halfway decent. What I'd like to do is like create a Doom RPG kind of thing. Now there is such a thing as a Doom RPG. It's a tabletop game, if I'm not mistaken. I have no idea if it's any good, but it does exist. I can imagine it's good. It is Doom. I think it was released for the then new Doom 3. That's another thing I'm going to mention in the Doom 2016 review. I'm going to mention that Doom 2016 really Yep, got more lag. No, wait, no, I'm still stuck. I'm stuck on a body. Okay, maybe that's not lag. But anyway, Doom 2016 is considered so amazing today that now everyone's kind of hating on Doom 3. But I remember back in the day, I didn't hate Doom 3. And I don't remember anybody that I knew complaining about Doom 3. Although, that you can take that with a grain of salt because I didn't know that many people. But had I known people, I doubt they'd have complained about it. In fact, everything I read at that time said Doom 3 did really, really well. You know, it put id Software back on the map, so to speak. And as far as I know, that's what happened. I get the feeling that it's retroactive hate, and I think it's one of those, somebody somewhere on the internet said it was terrible, and everybody just is in a rush to agree with them. It's like, oh yeah, Doom 3 sucked. Like, yep, it sucked. Worst game ever. Please let me fit in. I hate Doom 3 too. In fact, it should be banned. Like, seriously, I don't remember anybody hating on Doom 3 back then. Maybe they did, and I didn't notice. I was kind of clueless back then, didn't even know Half-Life 1 existed. Which is true, I did not know it existed for whatever reason. Although back then, you know, it was definitely not an easy prospect of getting, you know, game news unless you, like, really knew where to look. At least it was for me. Like, today, it's easy just to find it anywhere. But back then, you kind of had to know. It's like, I didn't have, like, the Nintendo Power, although I was aware of that, believe it or not, back then. The one Nintendo Power I ever owned was for the then popular, and still is, Pokemon. If one had to catch them, you should catch them all. I was a big Pokemon fan back then. What's funny about that is, in the 90s, I went through the two big franchises of Pokemon and Power Rangers. Power Rangers first, then Pokemon when it came out. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. Both of equal annoyance to my various family members, which is just hilarious. It's like, I drugged my mother to go see Power Rangers, and I drugged my grandfather to see Pokemon. I don't know which one was worse. I think Pokemon was a little less annoying than Power Rangers. Because I tried to sit through just to see how bad it was. And oh, by the great space dragon, was it bad. Please wait while I choke to death. But was it bad? Power Rangers the movie sucked. Oh my good god, it was horrible. I mean, okay, compared to the show, it was more annoying. You know you got problems when you're making the show look positively intelligent. And that's something I have seen today, as people hate on it now, that were Power Rangers, or are still Power Rangers fans, you know, it's like, when even your fan base hates it, you know you made a mistake. Although I don't know how true it is, I did read that they didn't want them to have helmets so they could act. But you know what's funny? This is something that is hilariously bad. Okay, so, I remember this, and I feel sorry for who the fuck played the Pink Ranger. I forget her name. Although she went on to be a legitimate actor later on, though. Because I remember seeing her in some TV show. I didn't watch the TV show. It was just on a TV, and I was like, hey, that's her. But she had to say so many dumbass lines in that movie, and in the show in general. I should have saved, but I didn't, because I'm an idiot. She had to say so many dumbass lines, even before the movie started. Because for those of you who had the VHS tape, which I still do, it's in a box, as it should be, they forced her to say, I assume they forced her to say this, I'd hate to think she'd say this legitimately. I'm building it up because it legitimately is this dumbass. That Power Rangers is a cross between, it's either a cross between or good as Star Wars and Wizard of Oz. Okay, who would say that? No, who wrote that? How much money did they have to give her to say something that stupid? Ooh, we got blown up. But it's like that. I'm sorry, Pink Ranger woman whose name I can't remember. I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you. That's just cruel. At least in fucking Pokemon, they didn't say anything that dumb. I just don't remember them saying something that dumb. Maybe they did, and I just don't remember. But it's like, and that's also that's not even getting into the show. They made her say more phenomenal all the time. I mean, that couldn't have sounded good in somebody's head when they were writing that. more phenomenal. I get that it's the 90s, but come on, that's like super 90s. That's like, it's like, I don't even know what it's like. It's like, I don't think anybody liked that even back then, that particular word. Maybe they did, I don't know. I don't remember hearing that until I rewatched some of this show on YouTube, of which was very hard. But I had to see, you know, was it actually any good? And no, it wasn't. I don't know, I guess kids have different standards. Honestly, you know, I rewatched a little bit of Pokemon. I think I like Pokemon more than Power Rangers. His Pokemon isn't quite that annoying. At least it wasn't to me. Maybe I'm just crazy. Well, there's no maybe about it. But Power Rangers, man, that was... Although, you know, I did get into Super Sentai for a while. Which maybe it's just a language difference and cultural difference, but I felt was a little less dumb than the Power Rangers, though. I have a feeling it's probably the cultural differences that if you were actually Japanese, you'd find it just as dumb. But I think maybe not, I don't know. It always seems like the Super Sentai is actually a little bit more serious and taken a little more seriously. Although, I do recall one episode where they had an evil ramen cup attacking people. That's a legitimate thing that happened. You know, it grew to be 30 stories, although, Chojin Sentai Jetman is a fucking hardcore show no matter which way you look at it, though. Because, like, people die in that show. A lot! And, like, you never see that on American TV. I know that. Because they have, like, the villain, like, befriend some random human woman. And then, well, no, this is actually, that's a spoiler, but I highly doubt any of you guys are going to go searching for this. But he fucking kills her at the end of the episode. That is hardcore. This is for kids? I'd like to grow up with that. And like, I never found a subtitled version of that show, but that Jan Person show, the Japanese Purple RoboCop, that show is hardcore. Fucking Japanese RoboCop, he fucking kills people. Like in the original RoboCop. He kills more people than RoboCop does on the cable show, or did on the cable show, I should say. Because yeah, there was a RoboCop the series and it sucked, because they basically turned him into... They basically cut off his robo-balls, as one would say. Because he couldn't kill anybody, and he basically just became kind of like Robo A-Team in some respects. It wasn't very good, that's the thing. Because that's on YouTube as well, and man, did it suck. Let's save, shall we? It's like, I get that back then you couldn't really show that kind of... Although, I don't know, maybe you could have. I don't remember what the standards and practices of it was back then, but... You'd have thought that RoboCop, of all people, would get to shoot people, you'd think. It almost felt like he was... It felt a lot like Robo Planet. You know, like he's like a Robo version of Captain Planet in some respects. Although I still think it was better than those shitty TV movies, though. I hated those. I didn't see them on TV. I got them on, well, I didn't get them. I rented them on DVD, and man, were they crap. I mean, RoboCop was like 4 foot tall. It's like Robo-Dwarf. It's like, isn't RoboCop supposed to be a big-ass robot cop, you know? Not 4 feet tall. I mean, everybody was taller than the guy. But I think the actor, at least from what I remember, he did the best he could with what he had, but man, it's like, it's not RoboCop, it's fucking RoboCod. RoboCod being a game where I just remember the title of RoboCod. Well, this is a big ass level. Too bad I don't know where I'm fucking going. So yeah, this is actually a lot of fun. Maybe it's because I'm yammering at you guys, the fans, that I'm enjoying it. I don't know. I will blame you guys, the fans, for everything. Why? Because I can. Oh, we got lag. That was a long bit of lag. I wonder why it was doing that. Well, I'll just smash the hard drive with a hammer just to be a contrarian. But anyway, smashy aside, that movie, that TV show sucked. Really, RoboCop is unfortunately, in terms of quality, one and done or done and one. I forget which one I normally say. Because, like, RoboCop 1 is the only good movie in the entire franchise. Now, RoboCop vs. the Terminator, the comic, and the game are both really good. But other than that, you know, he doesn't really have much going for him, which is very sad. Well, no, his comic series wasn't bad, and I kind of liked RoboCop Alpha Commando, which was the second animated series for RoboCop. It came in that special period where animated series were actually good, and it wasn't bad. I enjoyed that. He had like a gadget of the week. He was kind of like Inspector Gadget, but really, really cool. Inspector Cop. Well, no, yeah. Well, Inspector is actually a cop rank in some places. So, Inspector Gadget, Inspector Murphy. We'll just call him that. I actually have a few Alpha Commando toys too. Still have them in a box with all the rest of my stuff. I doubt I'll get too much for them on eBay, but I intend to mainly save them for the days when I can actually put them on display, because the RoboCop toys are really cool. And I have a number of them, in addition to that particular one from Alpha Commando. I just had the one. They made RoboCop like 8 foot tall in that show, too. It made him really cool. Okay, we got the blue key. Let's save. It made RoboCop pretty damn cool in that show. Now, that latest RoboCop wasn't very good. If they called him like Future Robo-Man or something, it might have done better, but he wasn't RoboCop, and there wasn't even a need for a RoboCop in that city, as some on the internet have said. It's like, Detroit looks really good in that future. Why do we need a RoboCop? And the political commentary wasn't too annoying, because the whole, drone spying on you all the time is a serious issue these days. I mean, do we really want to be spied on 24/7? And even if you are spied on, is that going to do any good, or is it just a placebo effect, Because that's a problem with a lot of political concept these days. It's just a placebo effect. You can legislate things to hell and gone, but it doesn't really matter if there's nobody to enforce it, so... Or if there's just too many people that you're spying on that literally you can only look at a fraction of it, I mean, even if you have AI sorting algorithms and all sorts of crazy stuff like that, it's still going to be pretty tough to really enforce all the different laws you're trying to put out. It's just, it comes down to you don't have enough people, you don't have enough money and stuff like that. But RoboCop, the new one, just wasn't very good to me. And the villain wasn't villainous enough. It was cool to see Michael Keaton again in a pretty cool role, but he just wasn't evil enough. It's like, at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, not that anyone's gonna care, when Robo shoots him, it's like, well, he wasn't doing anything threatening to you. Why'd you shoot him? It's like he basically says, I could kill you, but I'm not. Okay, then why are you killing him? Because he wasn't gonna kill you. It seemed like he wasn't evil enough, he was not like the villains, from the first movie. He acted kind of like a slightly less mean Steve Jobs. I mean, Robo Jobs. It didn't work. That's the thing. I mean, they should have made, if they were gonna make him villainous, they should have made him villainous, but they didn't. And also the rival to RoboCop was more annoying and less evil. It's like, they play up this rivalry, but the guy's just an annoying asshole. It's like, is that... Do we need to kill him because of that? It wasn't very good all around. It suffered from bad writing. Really, really bad writing, in my opinion. And that is why that movie sucks. And it would be nice if we could have... If they just called him Future Man or something, it would work. Another show that I just was thinking about randomly is Mantis. That was another... Is it a teleporter? Do I shoot it? No. Okay, there we go. We got one... Why do they always like to put so many fucking barons of hell and don't give me a plasma gun? Yeah, I know. Wait! Drop it off! There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Gondor calls for aid, as the TV trope would go. Go, my minions, go! Well, that was easy. This is a nice level. This is a nice, big, and expansive level. I will rescue you, dude. Oh, I thought one of them was going to do that. And one of those sprites just looked really, really suggestive there for a moment. Alright, and we have fully completed... Oh, wait, I'm not dead. Or am I? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, we were actually fighting them all. Once we beat the big badasses, we continue. And the sequel, Inferno. I didn't like Inferno that much. Alright, let's take a look at Shores of Hell real quick. We will continue playing for a little bit, because I still have more to say. But you know what I'd like to see a remake of? Mantis. It lasted for a grand total of 1 season. I have a feel, once again, I have a feeling in some of these Let's Plays I've talked about Mantis, but I loved Mantis back then. It basically had an actor named Carl Lumbly as a Batman-esque superhero. And he had this battle suit, sort of like, well, Iron Man had already existed back then, but kind of like Iron Man, that would help him walk, because like he was paralyzed. And he'd fight crime. And he basically was Batman, because I remember he was rich. But of course, you know, as a 90s series, they had to contrive his Mantis suit breaking, and like it was susceptible to water, but you know, that's to be expected back then, you know. That's just kind of what you did back then. But I liked it. I thought it was cool. Lasted a grand total of 1 season, and spoiler alert again, not that anyone's really going to go look for Mantis. Because not even I have it on DVD, sadly. I meant to get it on DVD a while back, like years and years ago, but I never did. But it's funny that they have him be defeated. No, I don't think he defeated. I think he like died fighting or something. They had him fight, and this is just sad. But TOS did this back when they really had no money. They had him fight an invisible dinosaur. I am not making that up. They had such a low budget by the end of that series that they had him fight an invisible dinosaur. Because in TOS, there was a huge number of ships that were, it's invisible! Are they using a cloaking device? No, it just doesn't show up on our sensors. Yeah, it just doesn't show up on the fact that you don't have any budget in the 3rd season. Now, for those who don't know, the 3rd season of Star Trek was by far the worst because they had no budget, because they were brought back by a letter-writing campaign, and it was in that season that we got the classic, although I didn't dislike this episode as much as others did, apparently. Although I haven't seen it in a long-ass time, so I could end up hating it just like everyone else does. But Spock's brain, where his brain is removed from his body for some reason. I don't remember that episode being that bad. I mean, really, TOS... Well, that's kind of easy. All the keys were in the same room. But it's like, you know, TOS, you know, was always kind of iffy in quality in many cases. You know, TOS has a lot of really solid episodes, but it also has a lot of shit episodes, too. I think, in Futurama, Fry was right. There's about 30 good ones, but I don't know if there's even that many in TOS. But it's just a product of the time, though, really. You know, they were trotting new ground in many respects. I mean, the concept of a sci-fi series like that had not existed, really. The fact that it wasn't just a third-rate ripoff of, you know, those serials back then, like Commander Cody and all the rest, because I've seen those. They came on MST3Ks that were definitely worth being mocked. But the fact that it did all that it did, as well as it did, is a pretty good testament for its writing quality at times. One thing I really find amazing, though, well, actually, okay, this level wasn't so bad, but I did not like it nearly as much as the previous episode. But one thing that I found I really liked, see, like this, it's all brown. I don't really like the brown coloration. This kind of bores me for whatever reason. Well, one thing I found that I really liked, and this will be the last little random bit that I talk about, is Star Trek the Animated Series. That was from the 70s, and it was good. It was damn good. I watched that just about a year ago. I really, really enjoyed it. The writing was about as good as TOS. The acting, just about as good as TOS. I remember seeing in places on the interwebs some complaining about the animation quality, but the animation quality was no worse than any other animated show at the time, at least from what I can recall. And even if other animated shows were better than it at that time, which was the 70s, I still liked the way it looked. Essentially, for those who do know, Filmation did the animation, and Filmation also would go on to do He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And that show is well known for its very limited animation, and animated series does have pretty limited animation. But I think it works. I think it works fairly well, actually. A lot of it's just walking around or close-ups of their face and stuff like that. But I never really had a problem with it. In fact, I thought it looked pretty good. And one of the funny things about TOS, though, is Larry Niven. For the science fiction readers amongst you, however many, all two of you, me included, Larry Niven is a very famous sci-fi writer from the 70s who wrote the Ringworld series, which I've mentioned in other videos, but I didn't really like it. You can definitely tell it's the 70s in that book. It's like there's an arena in the year 3000 to fight for birthing rights. Looks like Reddit got what it wanted, didn't it? Goddamn, is Reddit all about overpopulation? It's like, yeah. Because people are really gonna go for that. But anyway, yeah, it's like there's like an arena to fight for birthing rights, even though technically that shouldn't matter in the year 3000 because they've got other planets they can go to. Really, overpopulation should be a dead letter at that point, but whatever. That series makes not all that much logical sense anyway, but you can definitely tell it's the 70s also because the main character of Louis Wu acts like a guy from the 70s would. You know, he's a swinger, baby, and things of that. The main thing that sticks out for most readers for Ringworld is how big the Ringworld actually is. And I'll admit that's kind of cool, but to me it's like I don't watch movies for the science fiction. I mean, I don't watch movies for the special effects. I don't watch movies for the science fiction. I only watch romantic comedies. No, but I don't watch movies for the special effects. I watch them for the story and the characters. The special effects have to accentuate the characters and all the rest. So I didn't read the book just because there's a big ass ring in it. I wanted the characters and situations to be cool, and they weren't. You know, I still kind of liked it though, but the second one was complete ass. It's like, that's beyond shit. It's literally just ass. Okay? Because, like, Rashadra, man. Rashadra. Some of you guys who have read that book, all one of you, which is me, so I'm shaking my head here. Yeah. What the fuck, Larry Niven? What the fuck? Okay. What is Rashadra? Well, on the Ringworld, there are people living on it. Well, not people, but Star Trek aliens, which means they have different forehead ridges, which I don't have a problem with, okay? I actually read an interesting article on why that's a good thing. That way you can actually, you know, with the aliens looking too alien, it doesn't make for very good stories. It's like, okay, the space spider wants to kill everybody because that's what they are. Okay, fine. Story over. It's like, when you have aliens that are human enough to be reasoned with, then you got a good story. But anyway, you know, Rashadra is where the different humanoid species, in order to facilitate communications, they have to fuck each other. Legitimately, that's the whole thing. It's like, really, Larry? Just go to, like, fucking Vegas or something if you're that, you know, in need of some feminine companionship, okay? Or, hell, he's probably rich enough to fly out to fucking Amsterdam. It's like, come on, man. You don't need to have something that lame in what is supposed to be a famous science fiction book. Because it's just lame, okay? And, of course, Louis Wu, the author insert, at least I'm going to say this. Now watch, fucking Larry Niven is like, screw you, GeneralLotz, I have millions of dollars and you have none. But it's like, seriously, Louis Wu, of course, has to fuck all the aliens because oh wow, okay. Oh, I'd love to see this. If I was more popular, such a thing would likely be made, but Louis Wu, he fucks the alien and isn't afraid of anything, because that's effectively what he does in the entire second Ringworld book. It just is so stupid. I was like, what the hell am I reading here? But no, that's what happens. That's what he does. Because he's a swinger, baby. Even Austin Powers would be like, dude, just keep it in your pants, man. Even Bill Clinton would say he's going too far. That's not a dated joke. But you know what? 90s rocked, except for Clinton. But as you can imagine, I was not a big fan of the old Clinton. Did I have a red key? Absolutely not. And why isn't anybody fucking painting that black? I asked him so many times to paint the fucking thing black. But no, did they? Absolutely not. Nobody listens to me around here. That's one of the things about 70s science fiction. It definitely is very 70s. But science fiction, there's definitely some science fiction that will be timeless. You know, like Alien is timeless. Alien's timeless. But, like, a lot of the hard SF from back then is it's just the way the characters act. Although, I will say, though, And while this book is less than timeless, but it's more timeless than fucking Ringworld. It's another Larry Niven book called, Footfall. That's what it is. Love that book. Have that in paperback, actually. It's about an alien invasion. We are invaded by intelligent... Almost said shit. Almost said we were invaded by intelligent turnips. Now that would be something. Now, we are invaded instead by intelligent elephants, and they have a... what's the name of that fucking ship? It's a ship that uses space stuff to fly around. Anyway, we're invaded by hard SF aliens. There, that's what we'll just call them. They use a hard science fiction drive to get here. And it's a really good book. The characters aren't that annoying. The aliens are suitably alien. And it's really cool. And I will admit, as a fan of space tech, when the humans, this is another spoiler alert, but once again, how many of you guys are gonna go read, fucking Footfall? When the humans unveil the Michael, I just like fucking squeed a bit at that. The Michael is a Orion drive ship, and I fucking love the fact that humanity right fucking now, we actually have a space drive that can fucking work, but nobody wants to fucking build it. Why? Because, well, technically it uses nuclear explosions to propel itself. But seriously though, come on, build the fucking thing already. Like, build it out in the fucking desert somewhere and then take it off, and then we have a fucking interplanetary ship. Okay? It uses nuclear explosions to go, which is so cool. He's like, we can get to fucking Mars in like a month, instead of almost a year with that fucking ship. But no, because nuclear power is bad for some reason. That's one thing I dislike about our current culture that just annoys the shit out of me. It's like, why must people hate nuclear power? Honestly. It's not bad, and it's really safe. Chernobyl was handled by a bunch of idiots. 3 Mile Island was in the 70s. So just fucking build a fucking reactor already, you assholes. Because goddammit, nuclear power is where the future lies. But no, we can't have that. As you can imagine, in just about every hard SF book, they always champion nuclear power and science and all the rest, of which I do as well. Okay, so this opens up something, I guess, and gives me the whiteout vision. That's one thing I never liked about this power-up, because I could never fucking see. Yeah, see, I don't really like this second episode all that much. The levels are a little bit too big. I always have a problem with really long levels in Doom. Because, like, it goes on and on and on and on. I like to have some progression here. And I'm a little bit too labyrinthine. But, yeah, I mean, the Michael spaceship is really cool to me. It's just like, humanity, fuck yeah. Which is actually a meme on 1D4chan. Because humanity will survive and conquer the stars! It'd be nice if we could actually get to the fucking stars. Although, space tech is evolving to a point, I guess. And they were able to land that ship on a barge, which was really cool. It was like, it was completely unpiloted by a... Well, it wasn't unpiloted, but they were able to remotely control that thing to land on there, which is really, really cool. I'm not really sure how good that is. I mean, we need better propulsion tech, I would think. Which we already have, but oh well. Okay, if I don't find the exit soon enough, I'm just gonna say fuck it. Oh wait, well, alright, I'm just gonna say fuck it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here is hoping it is NSYNC, and not the boy band. If it's not, I'm gonna upload it anyway after I try to put it in sync, but it probably won't work. It'll probably end up just like the Backstreet Boys. So, in any event, I am GeneralLotz, and I'm gonna wish you good Larry Niven and good Jay Puntinial, or whatever makes you happy.